across globe. So we have Niharika Srivastav. So Niharika Srivastav is an author, security and a privacy compliance advisor with around 25 plus years of experience. Parallelly, she is a radio host, speaker, and a panel moderator across various forums. She's a strong advocate of women back-to-back mentorship program and a key member in organizing Stanford Alumni Meet and other Bay Areas conferences. She was also nominated as an Advocate of the Year in Silicon Valley Award. So the guest number two, we have Mithali Sharma. So Mithali Sharma has around 20 years of experience in information security, and she has worked on several information security assignments covering consulting and solution-driven approach, including incident management, risk management, training and awareness, measurement program implementation, and many more frameworks. She's also an industry recognized speaker and an active participant, member, and panelist in discussions on topics like integrated security, data security, incident management, GDPR, and many more. She currently heads the risk and compliance and the information security service line for SDG Corporation and is a member of Incident Handlers Advisory Board, EC Council. So guest number three, we have Shivani Sharma. Shivani Sharma is the founder and director of KLEAP Technologies Pvt Ltd, which is a cybersecurity startup. And she's an ISO 27001 lead auditor, having in-depth knowledge of IT regulatory compliances across various geographies. She has also won the Indian Achievers Award for the most promising startup for her startup that she heads. Shivani Sharma started her career as an educator and paved her path into technology. She has worked with eminent companies like Google, Deloitte, and Cognizant before entering into cybersecurity field. Now, currently, she heads her startup, and she's which is marking a very high impact in the field of audit, compliance, and security. So I would like to thank Niharika, Mitali, and Shivani for being for this available for this particular webinar, which is more women centric. So without wasting much time, I would hand it over to Santosh to take it further.
Thank you, Amit. And then again, welcome everybody to this webinar. And this webinar is really special because today we have very interesting panel mix here. Because Shivani, who is a founder, of KLEAP, and then we have somebody who heads, risk infosec for SDG, Mithali, and then we also have Niharika, a book author, and she's been engaged into various other, initiatives as well. And thanks, Niharika. You're joining all the way from USA. I know it's late for you. And then today also is her book launch date. So we'll talk about that as well shortly. Now, getting started, I really don't want to do much talking because I know that everybody is kind of waiting to hear from the leaders. So maybe we'll get started with leaders sharing their journey. How did they step into cybersecurity? Because they have kind of had a long journey in last 15-20 years. So let's hear briefly about how did they start career into cybersecurity. How was the journey, starting with Mitali, and then we'll go to Shivani and Niharika. Yeah.
Sure. First of all, Santosh and Amit, thanks for inviting us here and giving us the time and a special opportunity as a Women's Day celebration to have us all here. In terms of the journey, I would say that I started my career more like a college-going person. I wanted to be a doctor. Not computers was not the field that I want to choose, but now when I look back, I realize that probably the best marks that I used to get was in computers. So that was the field where I had to go. I started. I mean, I wanted to be a doctor. I did my graduation, but then landed up in a career or landed up in a IT company. And to start, it was a manufacturing company, I worked there as a IT executive. Doing all those works which IT executive would do, from formatting the systems to clipping the LAN wires. So I did all of that. From there, I moved on to the current organization where I am right now, SDG, and I've been with the organization for almost 15, 16 years now. So even here, when I started the career, I started as a project manager, and was into delivery management and project management, but suddenly, at the organization level, we started doing some initiatives, quality related initiatives like CMMI and other stuff. And I was managing one of the biggest teams in SDG, which was around 120 people team. And there, when I was managing the team and this initiative came in, the choice was whether you want to continue with your delivery management role or move on to more of a corporate role. And with my board members sitting in India at that point of time, since this initiative was going on, they asked me the same question, and I really wanted to contribute more towards the organization and not just be restricted to 2, 3 projects. That's where I moved from the delivery management background. I mean, I had that technical background of a developer. From there, I moved on to project management. And from there, I thought, okay, let's move on to the corporate role and see how I can design more policies. Because when I was doing the CMMI initiative, I got interested into policy making. So from there, I moved on to becoming the risk leader for the organization, and that involved reading a lot about risk management. I had no clue about what ISO 31000 was, COSO, ERM, all these frameworks, what C-risk was. I didn't know anything about it. So I started with that risk management. From there on, after an year, we were trying to find out compliance and security leader for the organization. The role was open for quite some time, and I went back to the management and said that probably I want to move into this role instead of just the risk management part. And of course, it was a difficult role because it was a completely different role from what I had been doing all these years. But from there on, I moved into compliance and security role. And now I head the risk compliance information security, as well as we have a risk and compliance practice within the organization. So I head both these things within the organization. So that's the journey so far.
Thank you. I mean, that was very interesting because what I feel is that, your journey, starting as IT executive, going into, even the PMO role, that probably, set up that foundation for you to be, taking up that risk role, because this role
Absolutely.
requires understanding of, these various business processes, IT processes. So that's very, impressive. We'll hear from Shivani as well, because her journey has been, equally, inspiring. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Santosh. And I must say, Mitali, it's been a great journey for you as well. And as women venturing into different fields and making your own mark is like really very difficult to a point because things become very challenging. And from my perspective, like from where I come, my journey has also been a very considerable one. Like Amit mentioned in my introduction, I started my initial years as an educator. I was a teacher. I used to teach maths and science to ninth and 10th grade students. And it has been like for 5, 6 years I did that. And it was like I don't know what came up. I wanted to work for Google because I think I was in Hyderabad at that time, and the campus newly launched. It was amazing, and I was like, I want to work here. And I interviewed for around 3 to 4 months to get into it, and I actually got into it. And it was amazing. Like Google, everyone knows how Google is. And then I got into the ads and maps department, and I got the taste of how things work, how the tech works. And I moved on to Deloitte as a support engineer. I used to deal support tickets, and I then I got to know like how things work, what is the technology behind it. But I was into very non-tech roles at that time. And I think it was my thirst that I left that job. I got myself into training because I wanted to convert myself into a full-time tech person. So it was very challenging. I learned so many things. I learned Java, I learned Selenium, I learned how to code. And it was all like 5, 6 months journey. And I was all ready to join the workforce with complete enthusiasm. And it was like the hard reality: freshers don't get jobs for tech roles. You need to have some experience. And then how will you get that experience unless and until someone gives you a chance? And it was like such a blocker for me. And I struggled for 3 to 4 months for a job at that time, because anyhow I left Deloitte, and it was a gap of 5 months, and then again a gap of 3 months, because I was investing on myself for that skill development and with no job. uh, trust me, it was a crazy time. But I had that motivation, like, I am going to make it. Then I joined a startup. I think I got a call. I joined a startup, and they said they are also into testing. And then, okay, I got a role which matches my criteria. But then I got to know they are into security testing. What I learned was software testing. Okay, now this is another game in itself. Then I started learning about security testing. And as Mitali, I was the project manager there. I used to handle clients. I used to, deal with all the projects. And that's how it started. I worked there for a handsome 2.5 years, and, paved a way, because then the pandemic stuck, and, hard reality. And although I had my startup registered, I was not working into it. But then, I had to leave that part behind and get into the mud myself. So I wanted to play dirty with security, and that's where my startup was born. Today we are 10 to 15 team member team, where we do security testing, we do audits, we do a lot of policy making, we do implementation of a lot of projects and standards worldwide. And I think that that moment, that decision, I think that played fair with me. And here I am in information security field.
It was indeed very impressive because what I noticed, both Mitali and Shivani, you have created opportunities right throughout your journey,
Yeah.
and then been very open to different roles, because it's
Yeah.
it's not really easy, to shift from developer or IT to
Yeah.
risk and then PMO, these kind of roles. So throughout the career, I think you really indeed created these opportunities for you. Now we'll hear from Niharika about her journey.
First, great to hear your stories, Mitali and Shivani. Very inspiring. So, as far as I'm concerned, again, I'm Niharika. I did my engineering back in 90s, and after my engineering, I joined Larsen and Toubro Limited. So there I was the only woman in a big switchboard manufacturing plant that had 500 people. So I worked for some time in India. I also did my master's. Then I came to the USA, and I thought here things would be different. But no, it wasn't like that. So I was in various projects. I was either the only woman or one of the two women. So that's how journey has been and is everywhere as how engineering goes. But definitely things are changing now. So I worked in various roles: program, portfolio delivery, strategy, sales, marketing, security, and compliance. And I did my executive leadership development program from Stanford University. I'm very passionate about two things. First, helping women realize their full potential. So I'm associated with and also working with Drishti Foundation. So Drishti Foundation is a non-profit in India. They build sustainable communities. And what really drove me was their Swablamban program, where they make sure that the women become swablambi or self-reliant. I'm author of the book Security and Compliance for Project Program and Delivery Leaders. And I got into this. So I've driven various strategic programs from services industry perspective and also in finance and healthcare. And I really realized that business leaders, even project leaders, they don't have much clue about security. And it's not a rocket science. But when we spoke to them, the common theme was that it's complicated, and maybe it's like their job, security people job. So that's how like we took this initiative of simplifying this concept, and that's how I ventured into security. And I'm again glad to be here. Thank you for having me, and you're doing a great job, Santosh, Amit, CyberFIT, of spreading cybersecurity awareness.
Thank you, Niharika. Again, it was a very, interesting story that you shared, about your, journey here. Um, and like you said, information security is indeed everybody's job, right? And that's the challenge that all of us have seen throughout the years. Luckily, things have changed. There was a time when it was only, CISO or information security team. I mean, this team did not even exist as a dedicated function years back. But fortunately, we have found that dedicated space. So that's really indeed a good development. Now over the years, cybersecurity roles also have changed. There was a time when it was just taking care of the processes, maybe writing policies, procedures, more of security awareness, or running some tools. But then with the technology evolution, the threat landscape had changed. Today you have ransomwares, these open AI attacks, a lot of sophisticated threat actors trying to always attack your infrastructure. So with this, it has gotten very, very serious. And then like IT infrastructure roles, this is also more like 24/7 role. Especially, I think Mitali, you have mentioned about incident management response, which is very, very difficult job to actually perform. So if you want to share any thoughts around how the whole thing you manage, and your experiences there. Yeah.
Sure. So, Santosh, I think these ransomware attacks, data breaches, they have been the talk of the town, so to say, for the last, I would say, a decade now. I mean, we have been hearing about data breaches. If you look at various
Correct.
segments, whether it is manufacturing, IT, all the sectors have been affected. So I always say either you have already been breached or you're about to be breached. It's just that thin line between the two, or you are not aware that you have already been breached. So that's the thing. So nobody today can say that I have the best controls in place and I am secure. I am not 100% secure. Nobody can assure you that. And even if you look at the Verizon breach investigation report, since the time the pandemic struck us and remote working has taken a paramount thing, that remote, everybody is transitioned to remote working. You would look at that report and you will see that the number of ransomware attacks and data breaches have raised tremendously. And uh, 82% of these breaches, you would see the human element is involved in those breaches, whether it is phishing attacks, whether it is social engineering, whether it is loss of your credentials, IP theft, all of these. So human element is involved there. So what I personally feel is that until and unless you make employees as the strongest link of the chain, it is very difficult for anybody to to implement security or cyber security within the organization. So if I talk about my organization SDG, right from the beginning, we have had that top management support, and security has been in the DNA of the organization right from the beginning. So we have tried our best to embed it into the system. And I always say that employees for me are the strongest link in my security chain, and every employee is made the custodian of information security. So it's not just that it is the role of CISO to protect the assets. I, as an employee, should know why vulnerability management or antivirus is being installed on my system. What will it do? What should I do if some link comes in and if I have clicked on it? So I think that's very important. So you may have the best processes in place, but where we fail is that one, we do not communicate about those processes to our teams or to the employees. And second, we never test them. So we have the processes in place, but when the actual incident happens, nobody knows what to do. Everybody is running here and there, and nobody knows what to do, how to take care of it. If there is a ransomware attack or if there is a breach that happens, what are you going to do? So as an employee, even to the nth level, to the lowest level, I should know what I need to do. My guard should know what he or she should do if somebody comes on the gate and that person, and you are not aware who that person is. So my guard should even know what has to be done. My housekeeping staff should know. So I think that's where you need to, just like drinking tea is a part of your system in a day-to-day life. Similarly, security should be part of your system, and you should feel security the way you would feel any of these elements. So that's the key thing that we have done in our environment.
That was really insightful and very comprehensive view. Security in the DNA, shift left, zero trust, all these practices. I mean, definitely, plus the human education, right? It's very, very important. And talking about these emerging threats, I know that Shivani also has been doing a lot of work there through her organization, and also I think even the Web3 security and all these areas you have been actively engaged. So if you want to share your views, here.
Absolutely. So yes, like as we see the attack level, and how hackers are approaching the applications have been like so overwhelmed these days. I think companies should also invest in some kind of resiliency plans in such scenarios, because what happens next, like Mitali shared, the people are the first line of defense, and most of the attacks happen because of them. Let's say the Uber attack or the coin switch attack that happens, just mere phishing, so that means the awareness level of the employees has to be invested in some point of the other. I think the culture that has to be created, it should be like from top to bottom, not from bottom to up. It has to be run down from the top management to the employee who is at the bottom level. So that's how the culture is to be built. And with that culture being built, we need to enable resilient workforce. What happens when you are hit? What next? So that BCP planning should come into picture. Once you are hit by a ransomware, what kind of action you will take, what will be your recovery time objective, how will you recover your data once you are hit. Like AIMS is a very good example, like just happened. So all the servers down, you might have seen earlier, you go into AIMS, one security guard, you can just go enter, do whatever you want to do. I think now they will be on top of their security game. So they will have a dedicated team working on their servers. Data is the new oil. It has to be preserved in whatever way you can. And now the attacks are being sophisticated. Now the technology being moving to web 2 to web 3. We are talking about metaverse here, application being built on blockchain. So those kind of attacks have a completely different agenda. They're only prone to identity thefts or phishing, because now with blockchain, everything is decentralized. You can just see out in open. So attacks will happen only through human. So in whatever way or in whatever situation you are, I completely resonate with Mitali that humans have to be enforced. They have to be made aware how they should, behave when an attack happens, or how they can prevent at least individual themselves from any such kind of attacks, and how they can alert important people or the relevant people when they encounter such kind of scenarios. I think that is the best. I want to summarize down, like organizations should be resilient, they should have their BCP plan in place, and invest in the education of their employees, and invest some part of their budgets into security, because that is going to stay with you forever. Because I have seen people who don't want to invest in security, they don't have budget. Security can be, you can get it at your inside your budget, even you want to wish to. But it's always, whenever you think about it, it's just too late. But I say it's never too late. If you hear about it now, invest time in it, think about it, and try to implement certain security measures in the organization, and for individuals as well.
Definitely, I think the theme that is coming out is that the employee education, number one, and the management support. These are two key areas, because you can spend millions on buying best of the firewalls, IPS, but then if your employees kind of do not know which email link is suspicious versus the legitimate, then there is a possibility of cyber attack, right? So this, I mean, two areas definitely need some, focus. And some of these areas I know that, Niharika has addressed in her book as well. And interestingly, her book has a lot of, illustrations. I noticed, a lot of, small stories, graphics. So the book is very well, designed, crafted, and the message is for everybody, right? All business processes, not just leaders, project managers and everybody else. So if you want to share, your views on, how did you come up with that idea, and then, how does it benefit everybody?
Sure. So Mitali and Shivani, they have already touched upon why human element is so important. But what happens is that the things which we have, or the book which we have, material which we have on security, it's good if somebody has to go to sleep. So if I have to sleep, I'll go start reading NIST publication, which is so small, and I have to change my glasses so that I can read. And after reading a couple of paragraphs, I know I'll go sleep. So that's how things have been. And we always talk about that, yeah, human element is required, education is required. But if we look at the cyber awareness training, I myself 10 years ago, I used to just click on the video, next, next, and that's how I used to do my cyber awareness training. Or maybe, somebody, now we are working from home, so somebody telling his kid to click next, next, next. So that's how it is. It's boring, and that was the common theme when we spoke to people, that it's not interesting, it is complex. And then my co-author and I thought that we really need to simplify. So the books which we have when we are kids, they are colorful, they have pictures, comics like Chacha Chaudhary, so easy to understand. But now when we grow up, we have to go through those books, which are, some of them are interesting also, but the technical books are not that interesting. So we thought, why, how we solve this education problem? Why not we solve education problem by coming up with something which is interesting, having real life examples. So for example, we have been writing this book for last 3 years. It's We published the first version last year, and then after that we have been talking to various people, improvising it, and kind of, going through each and every chapter. Okay, this is PCI DSS, how can I simplify it? If you are there, would you understand? Asking people. So it's mostly, our focus has been simplify and make it fun, interesting, or make it something which is enjoyable, which people yearn for. So that has been the motivation and encouragement to go for this.
That's indeed, really interesting, because security education, for that matter, even, when I talk to people, some of the acronyms and terminologies that we use in, risk management, especially, or, information security, they may be too, boring at times. And like you said, the publications like NIST, especially, I mean, going through the entire thing, the language is very vague. You have to read between the lines, and get your own meaning, so that's always challenging. But great job there, with the book. I think, I'm sure that it will
Thank you.
benefit everybody. Now, one thing that I have been noticing is that, all of you have, created opportunities for you. You've been very open throughout, your career journey. And when I was talking to Mitali, very interestingly, she mentioned that, she was managing SDG's internal risk management process, right? And then during COVID, what they did, they transformed that entire practice, and they started offering risk management as a, service to, their clients, and kind of turned that unit into a profitable, revenue generating unit, which is something I have never come across, somebody doing anything. So that's why, I really wanted to ask this question: how did you do this, and, what were the challenges? Uh,
So, Santosh, when you are in an organization for 15, 16 years, you really want to do something new every day, right? So, every day when you wake up, you want to bring something new to your job, and you want to add something, some new elements to it. Uh, uh, we did have this practice thought back in our mind, and we used to discuss about it, but somehow we were not taking steps towards it. And we had very robust BCP processes in place. We had so every year we used to do risk assessment of our landscape, and it's a continuous process that we do. And any control that you would see in I would say in my organization, it is based on the results of risk assessment. So it's not that we have DLP just because we wanted to have DLP, or we started having DLP right from day one, or just because it is the in thing in the market, so we want to have that tool embedded into the environment. It is not like that in our organization. It's always whenever we feel that there is a need to it, there is a risk assessment behind it, and we see that there is there is a benefit having that control. Only then that control is implemented within our environment. And that was the case with BCP also. We used to have BCP drills every quarter for our mission critical projects, and we were doing that. So when pandemic struck us, the immediate challenge was moving everybody to remote working. So partially we were doing remote working, but the challenge was to move everybody to remote working. Because we had this BCP drills in place, because we knew what to do, we were able to transition everybody within a period of 2 months. So we were able to transition everybody. It required procurement of certain laptops and all, but we were able to do that. And since again, I would say our strategy had the part elements of communication, we were communicating with our internal stakeholders as well as our customers. So that communication was being handled. Some of our customers, when they saw how we were managing our BCP, we were keeping them informed and all, they came back to us and they asked us that, can you help us for the same thing, like, implementing the same BCP for my organization? Because probably we do not have the right elements in place. We don't even know what to do now when we have to transition to remote working. How do I I have a plant where people are working. How do I transition everything to remote working? What do I need to do? I'm not aware of it. And that's how, in bits and pieces, we started doing this for one or two customers. We did that and we started getting good results. We came across another organization which was a manufacturing organization based in US. uh, they were running low on resources. They didn't have anybody in their compliance team who could understand security. So they were ISO 9001 from long time, TL 9000, ISO 9001. But again, ISO, I mean, 9001 is more towards manufacturing. Security element, they didn't have any idea about it. When they saw our BCP mailers and everything, they said that, can you help us step in? And we initially stepped in just to support their BCP for that duration of 3 months. But we landed up getting a 1 year contract of compliance as a service, wherein, me and my team members were actually managing their compliances for their IT segment. We did that for 6 months. And, the services that we were offering them, they were so happy with it that we got a renewal of 2 years. So it was the initial 3 month contract turned into a 3 year contract. So that was the first initiative that we did. Apart from that, there was another organization where again we started doing a little bit of BCP, and they said that, and their objective was that during the pandemic, how will their applications behave? So it was more of a BCP for their applications that we started doing. But from doing that BCP for applications, again a 3 to 4 month project, we ended up doing ISO 27001 for them. So we did that ISO 27001 for them, and from the last 1.5 year, we have been doing their surveillance audits and renewals of it also. Now they want us to do the complete BCP of their manufacturing unit, and and all the elements of it, not just restricted to the IT, but the complete one. So that's another project. And then, when we were talking to people and talking about BCP, we saw a couple of customers who wanted that, okay, you have managed my BCP, but what about my vendors? My third parties are there. There are a lot of vendors that are there out there in the market. So can you help me manage my vendors? And that's where, we added another element to our services from compliance as a service, ISO 27001, and mini services. We added the third party risk management as a service as well to our contracts. And thereon, we went on and saw that some people wanted audit services. So we are not an audit firm, but we can make you ready for the audit, and through our partners, we can get you audited. So that's where we started doing the audit services also. So in a way, it came on, I mean, the layer on layer started building up. And the best part was that SDG has its own GRC platform. So we have a homegrown TrueOps GRC platform. And leveraging the GRC platform, we started building the services. So you as a customer, if you come, you get the service, as I mean, you get the SMEs in the field, plus you get the platform as well. So there is no point that you have to go back and do the automation yourself. So the team is there who would help the services as well as the automation. That's where, the customer also found it benefiting. And our past experience of 14, 15 years into compliance programs, getting good results from a lot of customers for our compliance program where we are audited, that really added value to it. For me, as my team, what benefit it went was that the team which was sitting in my office and working on internal assignments was now able to work on external assignments. So for them also, it's more of a growth and the job satisfaction that they get, because right now you're just talking to internal auditors, maybe some external auditors, but here you are talking completely to new customers, all US based customers, Indian customers, and you're working on their initiatives, not just your compliance engagements. And this layer of the team which was existing in SDG, it got an opportunity to elevate themselves and have a team under them. So in a way it was a win-win situation for everybody. Now for the organization, a model which was initiated as a test model, where and in the past also we have been doing a lot of content management for our customers, for the platform, for the TrueOps platform. We used to develop a lot of content and give some SME services in terms of product development. So when all these layers matched together for the organization also, it was a win-win situation, because all the people who were there as investment now turned into a billable mode. So I would say my team doubled completely in the last 2 years, and we are still heading towards a double digit again in this year. So we are again targeting, and there are a lot of new developments that are going on, a lot of new services that we are bringing in terms of data privacy, BCP, a lot of those elements we are adding to our services now, and it is a full blown practice right now, where we are going to double the revenue as well as the team size in the next 1 year. So that's how the journey has been, and everybody from a billable role, from an investment role to a billable role, which really gives a lot of confidence to the team as well as to the management that we have the right team in place. So that's the journey that we have seen.
Very interesting, because traditionally the investment on security has been seen as overhead, right? But now here you kind of take it to your clients, start taking from risk, BCP, audits, all of these areas
And
that you
there,
mentioned. Plus,
and Santosh, what I really feel is that, if you are into the organization as the CISO, that's where we lack, and I don't know, I mean, maybe it's that woman mindset that is there. I always say that because a woman thinks in multiple directions, saving money and all that. That's what we do every day. So, if you are the CISO of the organization, you are not just there to get the investments done in the right direction. You are the strategic partner to the board. Look at the Gartner reports. They also talk about CISOs being the strategic partners. Strategic partners really means going to that board level and advising the board what can be done, where you see the opportunities. When you see the opportunity for yourself, you should see for the organization also, because with them you also grow. So, I think that's one way of looking at the growth, rather than just looking at the designations and having fancy designations added to your kitty. What would you do with those designations? Today you are VP, tomorrow you will be director. I mean, whatever. So, but then what is that growth that you are getting? What is that job satisfaction that you are getting? Every day I should get up and I should feel energized to do my job right from the morning to the evening, rather than taking it as a burden and saying that, oh, I have to again go and do the same job. So that's the essence that you should carry, I think, on a job.
very rightly said. I mean, job shouldn't be a mechanical thing that you go and just do a checklist sort of job. And I mean, the stories that you have shared, I mean, it clearly shows that the opportunities can be created, right? I mean, and then new challenges. And the challenges, they could be like, variety of challenges. It could be, convincing your board, convincing your management, buy-in from, different stakeholders, dealing with vendors. So these challenges go beyond, just technology problems and solutions, right? And information security, in a way, has evolved really well, because now, not only technology, but non-technology people also have their own career paths here. Like you could be a software developer, but then you can switch into software security, web security, or other areas, right? So it has opened up this lot of opportunities. Now, the other vertical that I really wanted to ask Shivani, that a startup founder, you know it's a different journey altogether, right? I mean, from normal 9 to 5 role, you have switched into this role. So really want to know about the challenges that you may have faced, and if somebody has to take this journey, what would be your advice, taking into this startup, entrepreneur journey? Yeah.
Yeah. So, like the entrepreneurial journey, I would say, when you start it, it's a little lonely in the first, because you are the whole and soul one who has to do everything. One quality one must possess is the grit. You must have that dedication, that perseverance, and the consistency to maintain the brand that you want to build, because that is one aspect the founder or an entrepreneur should have. Because I would not say entrepreneur because he's a founder, because founders are very close to what they're making and what they are doing and what they are building. Entrepreneur can be a different word for me right now, but being a founder is like something you have to do everything on your own. You have to start the journey as a lone wolf, and then you need to add amazing strong members into your pack. So that's a challenge where you come in hiring the right talent. And once you want to do that, I would always prefer attitude over skill, because you need to have the right mindset people. You need to have people with the right attitude who will bring value to the organization, who will get merged with the company culture, the startup culture that you want to preserve, and then you work as one. So that can only come with the attitude that a person possesses, because skills can be taught. I can get a person, I can train him, and I can tell him what to do, so that skill can be taught, but the right attitude remains with the person, and he will bring a whole different outlook towards what you're building, because he or she, whoever joins in, he will feel himself or herself as a part of this growing brand that is there. I think that is one major challenge that founders in building. And then you have to build the credibility, because your brand should be known for quality. Always prefer quality over quantity. It's better to have 5 clients who who are crazy over you because the kind of quality service that you provide, rather than having 100 and giving bad experiences. So once you build that trust, that credibility, your name is bound to go places. It will be word of mouth that will travel. Sometimes down the year, 10 years, everybody would be like, okay, Shivani, oh yeah, she has that cybersecurity startup. So that's the kind of culture I want to build. So that vision and your vision should match with the team members vision that you have. So the core team stays, they follow your vision, because you have to show them. So you have to be a dreamer, you have to be an optimistic person, and you have to drive it, and you have to be a born leader to do it. I think things can happen when you work as a team. When I work with my team, my core team, Nishant, Alia, Pooja, me, we never know who the owner of the company is, or who is doing what. Everybody is wanting to bring something new to the table, do something challenging. And I like to be challenged. Sometimes I might not know a lot of things. They might tell me, okay, Shivani ma'am, this is what it is. I'll say, wow, this is wonderful, let's do it. So we have to empower them. I think that's how you make people stay with you. And I'm not saying like you want to hold them, but you want to give them that freedom that they can think creatively, they can bring something new to the table. So I think that credibility can be only done when you have a rock solid team behind you. And other thing, as a founder, you always have to be ahead of the game. What is new, what is upcoming? And if you are not, then you are obsolete, because whatever you are learning today might be obsolete tomorrow. So always I don't know, subscribe to some magazines online, or read articles, read reports like Mitali mentioned, CrowdStrike reports or Gartner reports. They're very good, because data should be on your tip. You should know how much billion market is there for information security right now, what is the trajectory, how it is going to grow. So I think you have to be ahead of your game. So I think these are the few points that I want to highlight as an entrepreneur. But down the lane, it will be so satisfying that you made something that other people also believe, and you believe in yourself that you got to make something that holds value rather than, everybody wants to make money. So I'm not denying that fact. But when you make money with purpose, that's a whole sense of satisfaction of another level. Now, with our consulting with KLEAP Technologies, we also have, awareness programs and trainings that we sometimes do in colleges and school out of our corporate social responsibility, because we want to impart that education to the kids. So once you do that, that satisfaction is completely out of this world. Like, you made something that holds value. So always aim to create value and value driven products. That's what I wanted to add.
Sure. And add to that, definitely, one also needs good patience, right, for building, startups and
Yes,
founders. It's a
yes,
different journey
yes.
altogether. So I think in the interest of time, we'll just maybe I'll go through one last question, and then we'll open it to audiences as well, for some interactive, communication. So one last question. This is from me. That this area has become so stressful, right? Managing cyber security. It's like it's not clearly defined. You get pulled into all different directions. These incidents, new technologies, continuous education. There is always a fear of that a tough conversation with leadership when things go wrong. So how do you manage stress and work-life balance quickly? Like if we'll start with Niharika and then others, and then we'll go into audience questions. Yeah, yeah,
So, as Mitali and Shivani said, that there were challenges, but what they saw were not challenges. They saw opportunities. So it was, you get lemons and you make lemonade out of it. So if you see all this communicating with board and all this stuff as challenges, yeah, they will look like challenges. But if you see it as, I really need to protect my organization, especially we're talking about organizations, but we really, something we really can do is protecting the senior citizens. Every day, every hour, they get this smishing, wishing, phishing, all the ishings, any ishing emails or text, and they are falling prey to this. So whatever we can do in our role, not protecting organizations, also protecting people around us, educating, if we feel like that, then again we'll just see opportunities here amid all the stress and chaos.
yeah. And Shivani, if you want to share your views, a lot of things going on. Yeah,
Yeah. So I would say, like, I think women are born multitasker. So balancing is something which runs in blood. I think the support that one get from family and friends and peers is, it's very helpful in, because they empower you, and in that empowered nature, you do a lot of things that it is beyond your scope as well. So I think there are no challenges. Only one thing is like time management. If you allocate and dedicate your time to whatever you want to do, I think that focused time frame uh, will help a lot of things to get better. One thing that I do, make up my calendar for a month, whenever I have to, streamline my, work in a way, and, I want to have some personal time as well. So one great thing is a calendar, set up a calendar, and I think everything is taken care of.
sure. And Mithali, yourself. Yeah,
So I think a lot has been said already and covered by Niharika and Shivani, but I would give a typical example here. Right from our childhood, we have been seeing our mothers, right, and we have seen how they have managed the house completely, and there are so many things that they manage in the house, right? So for me, my job is like that only, that where I have to manage multiple things, And people talk about this work-life balance. I don't understand what is this work-life balance, because sometimes your work becomes your life, sometimes your life becomes your work. So it's more about prioritizing what needs attention first versus the other. My daughter may need more attention than my project. My project may need more attention than cooking food in the kitchen. So it's all about prioritization, and having that environment around you and having that support system around you, which can help support your dreams and your goals. What happens is that as a woman, right from our childhood, we have been trained to be that soft person and be soft spoken. Don't be loud, don't talk too much, all of that, and be very polite and all. And because of that, we have stopped talking about ourselves. We have stopped socializing, stop telling about it. I don't mean that you go out for smoke or you start going out for drink and start socializing that way, but it's like being more vocal about what you need. If I see in my environment, in my work environment, that there is a particular job that is being offered to a male employee, and I can do the same job in the same manner, I should be vocal enough to set up time with my manager and tell about it, that you know what, I can manage the same thing and I can do very well about it, rather than comparing with someone, just telling about your abilities. Similarly, whenever a girl gets married, or we go for women, we go for parenthood, we become mothers, we tend to drop our dreams, and the child becomes our dream. It's good to have your child as the key asset, but your child should be your strength. Your child should be, I mean, you should start thinking. So I started going to events and everything when my child was born, because I felt that, tomorrow she's going to grow up and she's going to ask you, what do you do? And she'll not know what is her mother. But if she grows up seeing the hundreds of trophies in the shelves, and seeing that her mother is getting published in the magazines, in articles and all, she'll have a different perspective. She'll be empowered. She'll feel that, yes, she is my mother. So that's the kind of thing that a woman should always do. And in doing so, you should not fear of going back to your family or going back to your colleagues and telling them that I need support. Uh, Probably, we feel that, okay, I'll manage somehow, kuch kar lungi, I'll do something. But the fact is that you should go out and you should ask for help when you really need it. So I think that's the key thing, that, we should do that. And the way we manage our home, similarly, we should manage the organization also. It's a key thing that is in your hands. Security is in your hands. So prioritize your stuff. You will not be able to finish everything in day one, but how you prioritize it, and then how you develop leaders within you. Like, under you, you should have leaders. There should be not be order takers that you should have. I again say, it doesn't mean that they should be arrogant and they should start talking to you and dictating what should be done. But it should be a team. When you say team, it should be a together working team, working towards the same direction, and they should also emerge as leaders. So I think if we do a few of these things, I don't think that it is difficult to manage. This work-life balance, what we call.
It's very indeed very practical words of wisdom, I would say. Thanks for sharing that. And with that, I think we have some audience questions too. I'll let Amit manage. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have a couple of questions. So let me start with the question number one from Amrita. So Amrita has a query: how will cybersecurity scenario change with the evolution of technologies like AI, blockchain, Web 3.0, and a lot of other technologies? So I think Shivani, Niharika, Mitali, anyone wants to take that up?
Yeah, I mean, I can take it up,
Yeah.
Amit, and Shivani and Niharika
Okay.
can add to it. So, technologies will keep on changing. Technologies will keep on coming. I mean, next question can be GPT is here. So, will that mean that shutting down all the books and, just being there? Or when we had RPA, AI, ML come into picture, people started fearing that bots will now take over and human element will go away. But then, or when the GRC platforms came in, we thought auditors will go away or the compliance leaders will go away and GRC will take over. but nothing like that happened. These are more, so when you were doing your work, imagine the time when you were doing your work and all accounting on on paper versus what you were doing in Excel. It didn't mean that the CAs are no longer there. What it meant was that it brought in more automation towards it. It brought in more intelligence towards it. AI, ML, blockchain will work what you feed them. They will work on the data or on the processes or on the rules that you give them. So I really feel that all these technologies will keep on coming. There will be new things. What you want to adopt for your organization will be dependent on the risk assessment of your organization. And then that piece of human element will be there. It's just that, somewhere your mundane task, your task which you can automate, it will help in automating it. That level 1, level 2, level 3 support that we call, you can actually elevate your people from one level to the other level by shifting some of their regular tasks or daily jobs to automation or building scripts around it. So that's my take on it. But Shivani and Niharika, over to you.
Yeah, great point. So it's again, before cars were invented, there were horse carts. But how cars, they just changed our lives. Same way, I will say, with all these technologies, what happens is that the attack surface increases, and you have to understand what has increased. But ultimately, it is knowing what has to be protected, where is the data, which data is sensitive, and having your guards for that.
Right. So thanks, Mitali. Thanks, Niharika. So we have next question from Chaya. So Chaya has this question: what are the various cybersecurity resources or career options for specific to software developers? Yeah, good question. I think all the panelists here, I think you have a very diverse
Yeah.
background, right? You have started your career from an educator, from a software developer, or like other field, and you are into the field of cybersecurity and doing really great. So I think good question, Shaya. But yeah, would anyone want to take this
Yeah,
question?
yes, I would like to take that. So, Chaya, for software developers, like two topmost important resources can be, one is SANS Institute. They provide a lot of cybersecurity free training, certifications, and they also allow you to do research. And second would be the OWASP. It's like the open source World Application Security Project. They also allow you to learn. They have a lot of tools, free tools available. They have labs where you can, invest your time and learn about, secure development and how you can. As a developer background, DevSecOps can be a very lucrative option because you have a background of development, and once you add security into it, you are gold. So DevSecOps is the new thing that you can go ahead with. So if Mitali and Niharika wants to add anything.
Yeah, I will only add that, I started my career as a software developer, right?
Yeah.
So from an IT executive, I was into development. I used to develop PHP codes and e-commerce sites and websites. So I have worked on all those HTML, CSV, and all of that we talk about, and Java also. So you can move from software development into cybersecurity very easily. There are lots of resources, and when you are into software development, it like Shivani said, it opens up so many opportunities for you because you are technically strong. So that ways you can move into a lot of other stuff technically and grow there.
Yeah. So yeah. So the next question we have. So what are the key points you want the upcoming women cyber leaders should focus on? So any key takeaways for all the women aspiring cyber leaders in coming future?
Believe in
I think,
yourself, I would say. The
yeah.
first and foremost is believing in yourself, because that's what we don't tend to do. So we have that disbelief that we will not be able to achieve, and we also believe that somebody will come and do something for us. So change has to come from within. So you have to believe in your thoughts. You have to be vocal about it. You have to believe that yes, I can do it, and there is nothing which is impossible. Now, that does not mean, again, I would say, that does not mean being arrogant. There is a difference. There is a thin line between being self confident and being arrogant. You ask for what is needed, but in doing so, you are not harming anybody. You are not harming the environment. You are not stepping over people. You are building leaders around you. Uh, you are doing the right karma. You are staying humble. You are keeping yourself abreast with technology. So stay humble, stay foolish, and I would say stay hungry for more and more. That's what I feel.
Shivani, Niharika, your views.
Yes, Shivani, go ahead.
No, I think Mitali covered it all, and I think that's the dose of motivation that everyone needs, not specifically women. And one thing I want to add is like keep learning and keep upskilling yourself with latest trends, and that is how you will stay ahead of your game. I have used it twice now, because once you know your work, once you know your data, you are here to stay, and that's one core element that everyone should possess.
And here I'll add is look at what are the high value things you are doing as a mom, as a family member, and as an employee, as a boss, as a leader, and focus on those high value things. If there are some things which can be offloaded, so if you can use Big Basket or Instacart, go ahead and look at the time it's saving, which you can spend with your family.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone. So another question, what can we do to ensure cybersecurity is taken care of and our applications are secure? So I think there are multiple ways, but yeah, I think we can focus on the most critical ones. Yeah, starting with Shivani.
Yeah, so here I have covered this in my book also, but yours is testing. So it's
Yeah.
make sure that again, go ahead, make sure you have test cases, test scenarios. But I'll stop there. Go ahead, Shivani. I know that is your area.
No, Niharika, it's like we all are the infosec leaders. We all have our take. So one such thing, like we want to maintain a security posture, is like continuous monitoring and continuous evaluation of your infrastructure and application. I think that will give you a correct standpoint of where you are currently and how you can improvise on it. Where are the gaps that you want to fill? I think that continuous monitoring and continuous evaluation is very important.
Right.
If Mitali wants to add anything. Yeah.
No, I think Shivani, you covered it. I mean, specifically for software testing, I would say first and
Yeah.
foremost, you have the process in place where you ensure that continuous monitoring is there. If you are into software development and you are doing continuous releases of the process, then probably security testing and
Yeah.
security scanning should be a key element of any development that you are doing right from the design level. So people ignore the secure design part and they start doing the secure testing now when it is not there in the design and you have not designed it earlier. How are you going to test it when it was never there in your architecture itself? So ensuring that you have it in your design, you are testing it, you are fixing the vulnerabilities, or you have plans in place to fix it before you actually release it, and then continuously you are doing a kind of maybe a quarterly scan or a kind of sprint scan that would depend on your environment. So I think those are some things, and then aligning your processes with OWASP top 10 or the latest in technology. You can
Yeah.
look at more guidelines, and then your developers should know what they should do. Like uh, typically what we have seen in codes is that people write a lot of code, and it will never be caught by the tools, also the scanning tools
Yeah.
that you use, but we fail to write comments in our in our code why we are writing this. Now today I have put in a statement, if then else statement, but tomorrow some other developer comes and looks at it and he is not able to understand why this was being used. So having that documentation and handovers is very important in that journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have another question. So the question is, what is the difference between cybersecurity, information security, and GRC? Yeah. As there are multiple scenarios, we have seen that few people call information security as a subset of cyber, or cyber is a subset of risk, and GRC is a mixture of both. So just wanted to understand your views on the same.
So Shivani, do you want to take it up as an educator or should I take it up?
Okay, you take, I'll add because once we say about information security, governance, risk and compliance, and the other one was, the third one was
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity.
cyber security. So I think they are all integrated, or maybe it's like an amalgamation of technology, because sometimes information security is bigger and then cyber security comes under it, and then GRC takes over both of them. So it's like, one comes under and the other comes as a complete group. So at a whole, we need to maintain the governance of the standards. Are they being implemented and applied successfully? And then how the risking being measured and treated, and then how you are maintaining the compliance as per the regulatory bodies. So that's a bigger picture. And then it comes this information security, how you are protecting your data. What steps are you utilizing in making your applications, your maybe any data that you're storing on your servers or infra secure. And then cyber security comes inside information security, which deals with the cyber side of it. I think information and cyber security are like simultaneously, like anonymously, not synonymously used. So they do one or the same thing, because there's no like hard line I can draw between information security and cyber security. It's information security is a larger word, and cyber security is being specific only to cyber security testing and uh, that. So Mitali can add if I have
Yeah,
missed
and
points.
and Niharika, I think this gives us an excellent topic to write a book also together, maybe,
Yeah.
because these are three elements which are always confused, and specifically GRC, I
Yeah.
would say. So, information security, cyber security, they are synonyms, I would say, to a certain extent. It's both of them deal with protecting your
Yeah.
information, protecting your crown jewels for the organization. It's just that, from information security evolved cyber security, where we started adding more elements to it, more dimensions towards protecting the information, coupling it with a lot of tools, those fancy tools of IDS, IPS, SIEM, all of those new terms that you see. But information security was always there. Any standard that you see, ISO or PCI, any of them, they talk about information security, protecting your key assets. So that's information security and cyber security. GRC is, as we say, governance, risk, compliance. It's more like having the three layers of defense talk to each other, marry with each other, and say that a unified risk insight is there for the organization. As a CISO of the organization, as a CXO of the organization, I should be able to see at one go what is my unified compliance level, what is my compliance posture for the organization from various dimensions, from all the layers of risk, whether it is operational risk, whether it is um, business risk, whether it is asset related risk, whether it is cyber risk, from all these elements, from financial risk, I should be able to have a unified view where my three layers of defense talk to each other and show me that this is my risk posture, this is where my controls are lagging, this is where I need to do. And it helps in that continuous monitoring of my landscape. So that's the difference between, I would say, information cybersecurity and GRC.
Perfect. So thanks a lot, Shivani, Mithali, Niharika. So last question, but this is my personal question because the theme for today is obviously women centric. So as we all know that the cyber world has so much opportunities, but there is always a question of diversity across globe, right? So what are the key strategies that you are playing in your own organization, in your own field, to make sure that people, because example, there are a lot of less number of roles you get to see where cybersecurity would require 1 year of experience or a fresher, right? Because it always demands someone should have some experience, but someone from a woman perspective, someone wants to come into the picture, into risk, information, cyber. What are the key strategies, what people or the organization needs to take, and what are the key things that you are playing or you are implementing in your own organization?
Right. So I'll take that up first. So, as I had an experience with such kind of scenarios myself personally, so I have keen attention to not such scenarios in my company. So what I have done is like I have like when students are in colleges in their third and fourth years, I usually open up internships so that they can have a real life experience in how the world works, how the corporate life is, work on life projects with a mentor assigned to them. So I that 5 6 months that they stay with us, they get a holistic picture of you know uh, of a ethical hacker, because those who take up cybersecurity in their masters or they will only be keen to learn about it. And then we opened up internships so that people can come in. They're paid internships, people can come in, they learn, and then they go out to pursue you know their they complete their graduation. And I have students who like continued with us only, and they are still there with us. And secondly, like we also have a little community within ourselves, where we encourage like everybody to join in, learn, and make them skilled in what they want to be, because lack of resources and guidance is one thing that people usually deal with in terms of coming into this space, because they want to come into cybersecurity, they want to be a hacker, but they don't know how and where to start. That guidance is missing. So we uh, try to curb that to an extent, where we provide them with free resources, or maybe some internal webinars. And we also do like an yearly uh, we have done it online, but we also do an yearly conference where people get to join in and see from what industry leaders are doing. So I think giving chance to freshers will bring a great mindset to an organization. You never know what different or what creative things they can bring to the table. And I think investing in the youth of today would be a very great idea for all budding entrepreneurs, founders, or the existing companies that are, and people are doing it. So only challenge of like we need experience. So that's the part where we need to work on. And as we are a women-led organization, I do not have disparity of men and women, but we always try to, strike a balance, because men are equally important as women, and it creates a very holistic environment to work with, because uh, diversity always brings creativity. So that's my take on that.
Thali, your views?
So, Shivani covered some very key elements in terms of providing training and providing free resources to people, to women, to understand what is required. I think one other initiative, and every Women's Day, I have been asked this question that are there bias in the organization, or why are there so little women in security? And I always say that if you look at other fields, whether it is healthcare, hospitality, you would see so many women there. Probably the reason is one, either the women are not too attracted towards security, or they feel that tomorrow they'll have to take a break and they'll not have anything to do, or probably they don't understand how many options are there, that they can take up, what all options are there. So one key thing that we have done is that I make it a point to speak to a lot of women, mentor a lot of girls from the college, just to tell them that what options they have and what they can do, what they cannot do. So, that inhibitions, relieving them from their inhibitions, that's one aspect. Secondly, I think there are a lot of trainings that DSCI also offers, and a lot of other forums offer free of charge, which you can join, and you can empower yourself. With COVID, I think another thing that has come up is, and we launched this in our organization, we called it second innings. And this was more like women who had taken a maternity break, or women who had left because of their marriage. They were asked if they want to come and join us back, or join SDG. And, in a way, because now, the customers are open, you can work from anywhere, they are okay with it. Earlier, they were not. So I think COVID has really opened up opportunity, especially for women. This is the best time if you want to really do something. You can get up and you can, join organizations. Um, to a certain extent, cybersecurity requires some polished skills, in the sense that you will look for people who have at least 3 4 years of experience. But I have personally taken people who have 0 to 2 years experience and groomed them, mentored them. Because if you have team members whom you have trained, you can have them train the other people, and in a way you get a workforce which is more dedicated towards you, and a workforce which is more aligned towards you. Yes, attrition will be there. That's a known fact that will be there to stay. People will move from organization to organization, but then how you upskill the people and keep skilling them is important. And as a woman, I think until and unless we don't think we want to get up and do something for ourselves, no matter whatever initiatives you bring onto the table, nothing will happen until and unless, I mean, if I am hungry, I have to eat food. Somebody can cook food and keep it in front of me, but until and unless I eat it, I cannot curb my hunger. I cannot satisfy my hunger. So I feel that, as a woman, it is my initiative, it is my objective. If I want to do something, there are so many opportunities out there. There are so many initiatives out there. It's about getting up and picking it up there. We all can be the change agents. We all can be the catalyst to that. But ultimately, it is you yourself who has to do it.
Yeah. So Niharika, in terms of again continuing with the diversity and more opportunities for women, are we finding that personal branding as a gap? Because I think when you started the objective of creating your own book on risk and compliance, which was considered as boring, because you have branded in a such a way that people get really attracted to it, understand it like a comic book or something. So in terms of again showcasing those jobs in a very creative manner is one of the things that we should look up, or what are your strategies or what are your opinions on the scene?
Yeah, great question. And whenever we talk about very few women in these many engineering fields, I go back to my example 25 years ago when I was the only woman in L&T manufacturing plant. So why I was the only woman? It was because women did not know about the opportunities that existed. So they thought that working in a manufacturing plant it equals working on the shop floor. They didn't know that there is design, there is management, there are so many other opportunities. Same is the case for cybersecurity. So people think that security is like somebody doing deeply technical work with a hoodie on and 8 to 10 cups of coffee around him. So but if we tell that no, it's not just that type of job which is deeply technical, there is project management, there is product management, there is security sales, there's so many security products, security marketing, and in which you can pivot from where exactly you are. So if you are a scrum master, you can go and look for compliance projects. Each company has compliance projects which is high priority, so look for those things and pivot, gain that knowledge. So that's how. And that your question that it's been branded like that, that is actually stopping women from entering this field. If we tell them that there are cool jobs, I mean, we all love our jobs in security. If we tell them, we talk to them about it, I'm sure more and more women will be interested.
Absolutely fantastic, Niharika. Thanks for those views. So yeah, just I think I'll hand it over to Santosh for the closing.
Yeah, and before we close, I'll put my LinkedIn. If anybody wants to connect, if anyone has questions, feel free about transitioning or whatever is on your minds.
Thank you, Niharika. I think all the leaders, they are accessible, they are available. You can check their LinkedIn profiles, and thank you for this very very insightful, very practical. I think everybody spoke their heart, and from the challenges you can create opportunities. So there is a lot of learning for everybody, including me. So it's really wonderful session, a lot of takeaways. So I think we are over time, but everybody did a great job. Thank you so much. Thank you for attending this, and then thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Niharika, Shivani, Mitali,
Thanks,
Amit.
Santosh and Amit,
Thank
for
you.
having us here. And
Thank you.
thanks to
Thank
the
you.
lovely
Thank you.
audience for hearing us for so long.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.